Well, I think we will get a rate cut the way things are going now. We could see a jump in inflation in the next two months reports before the Fed meeting on September 17th that would make it harder for them to do that. But you saw Mary Daly yesterday come out and say that she's basically out of patience. She was willing to wait and see what the data would tell her, but the jobs report on Friday told her that it's time to get moving. So that's one more person in favor of it, and I think you'll have other people come out and say something similar, that if the data continue to show us what the jobs report showed us, that it is time to cut rates. But again, we wait on the data. As far as Scott Bessent, I've never thought that he was a serious candidate, but this is Donald Trump. He told you Scott Bessent doesn't want to be Fed chair. Do you believe him? I mean, it would not surprise me at all if he walked out into the Rose Garden and said, I'm nominating Scott Bessent to be chairman of the Fed.
He changes his mind. So who are the other candidates? I think there's about 4 that are being considered.
Well, Trump said there are 4.
Yeah.
He named the 2 Kevins, Hassett and Warsh. He did not name anybody else. The presumption is that Chris Waller is on the list and that Bessent was the 4th, but Bessent may not be the 4th, which leaves a guessing game. And we were talking about it on the economics team this morning. Best guess is that it might be McKee Bowman, but he could go outside of the people that have been more or less talked about and go back to maybe some of his previous attempts to get people on the Fed. And Judy Shelton's name comes up a lot, but she was rejected by Republicans in the Senate the last time. So I'm not sure that that's a very viable path for him either.
So, I mean, he can't go, really crazy one way or the other with this pick for the Fed chairman because, again, has to be approved here. I mean, are there people that the market would like to see at this stage as you talk to your sources here?
Well, I think the markets basically are okay with at least the 3 names that we know of on the list. If you take Bessent out, and they would be okay with him too, because they all have a background. Now, Hassett probably is the weakest case with the markets because he's been so obsequious towards Trump lately and saying things that he knows better. Warsh is somebody who wants to really shake up the Fed, but he was on the Fed and he works on Wall Street, and so he's well known. And then Chris Waller, of course, everybody knows him from the Fed, and he's a widely respected economist. So it's likely that we will get somebody who is not a wingnut kind of person, and Wall Street will be more or less satisfied. But whoever it is going to have to establish some credibility. If they came in and, absent the economic justification, advocated for cutting rates immediately, then that would hurt them a lot on Wall Street.
Right. Now, you always talk about the importance of the data, right? But then you had President Trump firing this top official at the BLS. So what does that mean for the credibility of the data?
Well, it's going to call into question the data, although I don't think it should necessarily be. When we get the next employment report, we should see something of a revision to what we saw, but which direction we don't know. If he puts in somebody who is bound and determined, who comes in saying we're going to fix the rigging of this politically, then you're going to have a real problem on Wall Street. But Wall Street seems to believe at this point that the way that BLS is set up, the commissioner doesn't have the power to really change the data, and so it can't be manipulated. And so there's a little bit less concern there. But if we did get a big change in the numbers, then certainly people would be asking questions. The best thing that Trump could do would be to put in somebody and say, look, we know that the response rate is declining. We know it's getting harder to do these surveys as people stop answering surveys. And so there are things that you have been working on that you would like to implement. Let's get a list of those and then go to Congress and try to get the money to put that in place, because this is really important to the economy and the markets.